What's going on? Welcome. Thanks for checking out this video. So unless you've been living under a rock, you're probably aware that over the past few years, things have been going absolutely atrociously for Disney. They've grown so large and gotten so swept up in wokeness and politics that they've forgotten just what the heck they're actually supposed to be doing, which is to entertain people. You know, when you're as massive of a company as Disney, you no doubt get to a point where you think that no matter what you do, you will always be untouchable and couldn't possibly ever come crashing down. And while I'm not here saying that Disney is even remotely close to going under, they are still experiencing huge financial woes that have become so severe that they had to take serious measures such as layoffs and a hiring freeze and cutting costs across the board in a desperate attempt to get everything back on track. And among those drastic measures, possibly the biggest one was the ousting of CEO Bob Chapek and the return of Bob Iger. And for those who have been paying attention, you know that all of these problems stem from this guy. He only stepped aside in 2020 and appointed fall guy Bob Chapek because he knew that these issues were coming. And he just needed someone to take the blame so he could return as the savior when he felt the time was right. And now that he's back, you better believe that absolutely nothing is going to change. Even after all those years of terrible decisions, especially ones involving Disney targeting children with their agenda, even after audiences have made it crystal clear that they want absolutely no part of their woke agenda, Bob Iger has basically just said in an interview that too bad, we're continuing down this trajectory. Disney CEO Bob Iger claims he's the arbiter of what is right and what is wrong, confirms company will continue to promote acts of grave depravity. Video footage was obtained by journalist Christopher F. Rufo, who shared Iger's response to a question regarding Florida's Parental Rights and Education Bill, or the Anti-Grooming Bill, as it was dubbed by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' press secretary, Christina Pushaw. Now, the next chunk of this article is just them going over Disney fighting with DeSantis over the Parental Rights and Education Bill again, so I'm just going to skip past all that. We already know all of it. In response to a question regarding Disney's battle with the state of Florida, Iger stated, "Well, first of all, our LGBTQ employees are very important to us and we care deeply about them. That is a given." Of course you should, Bob, but I really don't understand why you're even specifying it. The Florida bill had absolutely nothing to do with LGBTQ people, and anyone claiming so is just being disingenuous. The bill was simply about preventing demented teachers from discussing any sexual subjects, straight or otherwise, with children. He continued, "Secondly, this company has been telling stories for 100 years, and those stories have had a meaningful, positive impact on the world. And one of the reasons that they've had a meaningful, positive impact is one of our core values is inclusion, acceptance, and tolerance. And we can't lose that. We just can't lose that." You know, it really drives me crazy when he tries to compare the Disney of old with New Age Disney. I mean, they are completely different from one another. I can assure you, Bob, Walt Disney himself would be absolutely disgusted with the kind of twisted messaging you've been slipping into your kids' movies. Iger then brought up the Marvel Studios film Black Panther as an example. "I think about Black Panther and the impact that had on the world, or a film like Coco, and how we actually changed the world for the good. It must continue." Seriously, was it impactful and inclusive when you covered up the late Chadwick Boseman's face for the Chinese release of the movie? Seriously, this is why we always push back against their hollow woke pandering. They're absolutely full of it. We also, when you tell stories, it's a delicate balance. You're talking to an audience, but it's also important to listen to an audience. It's important to have respect for the people that you're serving, that you are trying to reach, and not have disdain for it. Yeah, well, you're doing neither of those things. Pandering to the screeching mob on Twitter is not respecting and serving your audience. He then stated, "That said, we're not going to make everybody happy all the time, and we're not going to try. We're certainly not going to lessen our core values to make everybody happy all the time. So it's complicated, and there's a balance." My God, this guy seriously has no fucking clue what he's doing. He knows what he has to do, but he's too cowardly to just put his foot down and say enough. We need to pay attention to what our audience wants and stop catering to a minority of loudmouths on social media, which will also be nearly impossible to do so until he is ready to clean house, as Disney's been hiring woke activists for years. See, that's why he states that these are their core values. It's only complicated because your employees make it complicated, Bob. You know what you need to do, but you won't. Iger then went on to indicate he and his Disney employees who tell stories are the arbiters of what is right and wrong. And at one point I said, "We do what we believe is right." And someone criticized me saying, "Well, who are you to say that's right?" Well, when you are in a job like mine, or you are responsible for the storytelling that many of you are responsible for, you get paid to have a sense for what is right. Not everybody will agree with you. That's just not the way the world is these days, but it doesn't mean you should stop trying to do the right thing, he concluded. I'm Bob Iger.
And I am the arbiter of what is right.
Alright, that's enough of that shit. This guy is such a joke. He just talks in circles. I think he knows what he needs to do, so he just keeps going back and forth between claiming that they need to listen to their audience, but not abandon their core values in a pathetic attempt to reassure the investors without angering the infestation of woke activists working at Disney. You know, as long as those people are there, then you can rest assured that they will never stop focusing on identity politics and wokeness in their movies and TV shows. I mean, they said it themselves. Those are their core values, and they're obviously going to always take priority over everything else. And the audience will continue to reject their radical agenda, especially when it involves their children. So obviously things aren't going to change at Disney anytime soon, so good luck, Bobby. You're going to need it. So that's pretty much it. Let me know what you think of this in the comments down below. Please like and share the video, and consider subscribing if you enjoy my content. And I'll catch you all later.